Assalamu alaikum, my dear friends and fellows. How are you? I welcome you here on my training channel. My name is Abdul Khalik. Dear friend, look, happiness is becoming something in a short supply, despite the fact that the kind of living standard people are experiencing today, they never did it earlier, despite the fact that there is a lot of affluence amongst many people. Even if at all we look upon the life of the affluent people, the happiness there too will be in a short supply. Happiness is getting down, although the material objects, although the comforts and the luxuries of the life is getting more and more, better and better. Technology is giving us what was unimaginable in the past, but despite all that, as for the happiness is concerned, this happiness is going down and down with the passage of time. Today we have made it a topic of our discussion how to somehow we can make ourselves as a happy person despite the fact we are having something or we don't have something, we are having the abundance or we are not having the abundance, even if at all we are living, with a minimalism. If at all our life is like that of a minimalist, despite all that, we can lead a happy life. And this has been made a topic of our today's discussion. Once we researched upon it, we came across certain things, and these certain things are eight in number. Eight mindful habits that are hard to adopt. Eight mindful habits that are hard to adopt but will make you much happier. Yes, indeed. It might take a bit of effort. It will take a bit of effort to adopt these eight habits, but let rest assured that this will make us a happier person. And what are those eight habits? Let's look upon each one of these one by one. The first one is the mindful breathing. Mindful breathing. We are seen breathing. We breathe 24/7. We cannot live without breathing at all, but we never paid attention to it. Here, once we are going to talk about how to lead a happier life. So for this purpose, we need to focus on our breathing. We need to have the mindful breathing for some of the time on a daily basis. This is the mindful breathing. During this period, we need to pay attention to our mind that I am inhaling from my nostrils and the air is getting into my nostril and then onward to my lungs, and I am looking upon all that. I am feeling all that. The air goes inside my body and then it cleans inside my body, then it does come out of my mouth. I am looking upon all this process. I am feeling all that process. So that is the number one thing. Out of the eight. So this one thing is called mindful breathing. And now the second is the daily meditation. We need to meditate on a daily basis for some of the time. Whatever technique you have learned or you may learn. So daily meditation is necessary. Take any relatively silent place, go there, sit in a relaxed manner, and then focus on yourself. Focus on the moment, and do not try to stop the thoughts entering into your mind. But do not let any of the thought to stay in the mind for a longer period of time. Imagine it is like there is a stream inside a forest. So there are trees on the both sides of this stream. The leaves of those trees are falling in the stream, but the stream does not let any of those leaves stay there, rather it takes along. In the same manner, we need to meditate. Do not try to stop any of the thought which is entering into your mind. Allow it to come, but then do not let it stay. Just let it go allow, make a space for the next thought, then for the next thought, then still for the next thought. So this is the second thing, is that is the meditation. Now the third is embracing impermanence. So nothing is permanent here in this world. Nothing is absolutely permanent here in this world. So we need to understand it, that since there is nothing permanent here in this world, so even I myself, I too am not a permanent person at all. So if at all there is nothing permanent, so why to make a hue and cry upon it? Why not to accept this extremely important factor? Not, no relationship, no possession, not even any individual's life, nothing ever is permanent here in this world. So the only thing which is permanent here in this world, that one thing is called change. So why not to embrace the change? Why not to embrace the impermanence? Because once we accept it, once we adopt it, then we will not be suffering from pain and the trouble and the loss, if at all we lose any of those things. So this the third thing is embracing impermanence. Now the fourth is practicing non-judgment. The fourth is practicing the non-judgment. What is this non-judgmental practice of non-judgment? We all have an inner critic, that little voice in your head that judges you, criticizes you, and generally makes you feel less than worthy, that judges you, criticizes you, and generally makes you feel less than worthy. It it's it's a it's a it's a it's a content. It's a constant. It's a constant. It's a belittle. We need to do this thing, that we don't try to silence it. It's a we don't need to make it. Don't need to silence it. But here is the thing: mindful teaches us not to silence it, our inner critic, but to listen to it without judgment. Yes, we don't have to try to silence it. We don't have to try to silence it. That we don't have to try to silence it. Rather, we have to listen to it without judgment. Without judgment. Practicing non judgment is one of the most challenging yet impactful habit we can cultivate. It is the most challenging but impactful habit we can cultivate. Now the fifth is living with minimal ego. The fifth is living with a minimal ego. It makes us defensive when we are criticized. As far the ego is concerned, our ego makes us defensive once we are criticized. Then also we crave for the validation, and crave for the validation, and leads us to compare ourselves with others. So many of the bad things because of the ego. Living with a minimal ego, it makes us defensive when we are criticized. We crave for the validation, and it leads us to compare ourselves with others. But the practice of mindfulness teaches us to let go of these ego driven behaviors. It encourages us to reduce to release our need. It encourages us to release our need for control, approval and recognition. Control, approval and recognition. Once we bring down our ego, once we bring down the level of our ego, then it releases the need for control. It needs for the need for approval and the recognition. So shift your focus from me to we. It's a tough habit to cultivate, but it's one that will make you much happier in the long term. It's a tough habit to cultivate, but it will make us happier in the long term. Not but we. I think that we need to minimize our ego. That is extremely important. Living with minimal ego. Now the sixth is letting go of attachments. Letting go of attachment. Don't be dependent. Don't be dependent upon ideas. Don't be dependent upon beliefs. Don't be dependent upon the things. Don't be dependent upon the people for the sake of your happiness. Instead, letting go of those attachments, letting go of those attachments. It is so important, so important, so important. Letting go of attachment, because the attachment makes us dependent upon ideas, upon beliefs, upon things, upon people for the sake of our happiness. We want to make our happiness as an independent, without dependence upon or any of those things, upon any of the external things. So we do have to, let go of attachments. Now the seventh is cultivating compassion. Yes, cultivating compassion. That is not self-interest. That is not self-interest. Rather we don't need to be self-centered. Rather we need to develop the empathy. It is the empathy which is far more important than the self-interest. Empathy is far more important than the self-interest. So that is cultivating compassion, trying to feel the pain of the other people. So that is the seventh thing. Now the eighth is doing nothing. Yes, doing nothing. The downtime, and then of course slow down and then experience the downtown and the slow down, doing nothing. Not to be hyperactive, not to be hyper busy. Everybody want to become busy. Everybody want to become productive. I think we are looking for the happiness, and here we have talked about the 8 point agenda, and the 8 point is that is doing nothing, slow down, experience the downtime. That is very, very important. In certain religions, I think those people who are religious enough, they are not seen very busy. Those who are truly religious, not just externally religious, they are truly religious. I think we need, if at all we want to awaken the spirituality, if at all we want to experience the happiness, so a very good amount of time with doing nothing, or slow down, or a downtime. So that is very much important. These are the 8 important things for all the people who want to experience, who want to live a happy life. So these are the 8 extremely important items we must understand. We must try to understand. We must try to adopt. That's all from me at the moment. Thank you very much.